Hello everyone, it's me again. My name is Sonfo and I'm 9 years old. And we have read this book but we haven't finished yet. So let's continue. Who was Albert Einstein? So let's discover and see who is he. Einstein's theory of relativity. In 1905, Albert published a paper about relativity. It said that everything is just light travels at different speeds depending upon different situations. Think about relativity in this way. If you look up at the sky and see a plane in the distance, it doesn't appear as if it is going very fast. You stand there and watch as the airplane seems to move slowly across the sky. Yet, if you were standing next to it, the plane would zoom past you in a split second. Bam! Boom! Gone. And yet again, if you are sitting inside the plane, it barely seems to move at all. See how the speed of that one plane can look totally different to you in different situations? That was Albert's point. The speed of moving objects moving objects depends on how it's being viewed. In short time, Albert became a very popular professor because students enjoyed the way he explained difficult concepts with simple images. Think about this image. A man falling freely in the Earth's gravitational field erupts and objects will not notice it is falling. And always love to lecture. It is the supreme art of a teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. Albert was invited to speak all over Europe. He was a rising star. Albert accepted other teaching jobs that took him not only to Zurich but to other European cities like Bern, Prague, and Munich. Look, he looks really old from now, but he's so much cool. An Einstein thought. Before Einstein, scientists thought that the sun was always in the same place, with the Earth and the other planets orbiting around it. Think of the sun and planets as being like your neighborhood. Your home is always on the same street. The school stays in one spot. You don't have to go looking for deep space every morning. Albert, however, shocked everybody by claiming the sun, the other stars, the planets, everything, all the time are moving through space. Think of the parade, with bands and floats always staying the same distance from each other, but the whole parade is moving down the street. Question about his outlook, he explained. It would be a sad situation if the wrapper were better than the meat wrapped inside it. What was really amazing how Albert was becoming popular with people who had no interest in science. With his wild hair, mismatched socks, wrinkled shirts, and pants that were too short, Albert was not just a brilliant physics professor. He was a personality. His mysterious smile being on the front pages of newspapers around the world. A genius who had unlocked the secrets of God's own mind. People who didn't understand a bit of his physics, who didn't know an isobar from an ice cream bar, were fascinated by Albert Einstein. Articles about Albert showed up in many magazines and newspapers. Had TV already been invented, Albert would have been the subject of all kinds of hour-long specials. Famous formula warning hard stuff. E equals MC2 is a scientific formula. It is so short that it looks simple, not much harder than 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's part of the reason that formula is so brilliant. Albert figured out that a very difficult concept could be explained in a very brief way. Make things as simple as possible, but not simpler. E stands for energy and M is for mass. Mass is a amount of matter in something. Mass is a little bit of weight. The third thing, C, is for the speed of light. Light travels really fast. Ever try to outrun it? Basically, what the formula says is that when a little bit of mass is changed into energy, a whole lot of energy will be released. That's what happens with an atomic bomb. An atom is split. Mass turns to energy, and an incredible amount of destructive energy is released. With this formula, Einstein claims that all matter, from a feather to a rock, contains energy. That was so much cool. Where's the bit of food? Oh, there's that plastic one. Perfect. Okay. Chapter 5. Albert hits high gear. If A equals success, the formula is A equals X plus Y plus Z. X is work, Z is play, and Z is keeping your mouth shut. Albert is free. You can see so amazing. So in 1913, a famous university offered to pay Albert more money than he ever made before. And all he had to do was come to the school and think. He would teach only when he felt like it. It was a dream come true, almost. And then one drawback was that the university was in Berlin, Germany. Although it had been nearly 20 years since Albert last lived in Germany, he hadn't forgotten his awful high school years, and Albert's wife, Melissa, didn't like Berlin on the people there. She thought they were mean and unfriendly. Melissa was also jealous of Albert's success. She was a brilliant scientist, but the war only cared about Albert. The more she thought about it, the less she wanted to live Zurich and many friends. Albert had to make a decision. Would he go off to Berlin to think or stay in Zurich and be a good husband and father? Albert needed brilliant people around him who could help him think about his ideas. At the time, scientists said only a dozen men in the world understand relativity, and 8 of them live in Berlin. Albert remembered his eyes through Italy and the promises he had made to himself. He decided to go to Berlin. Albert has Mileva and their 2 children. Beyond in Switzerland, Albert was admired. I treat my wife as an employee whom one cannot fire. It was not surprising that Mileva and Albert soon got divorced. Thereafter, Albert had little to do with her other 2 sons. Years later, when Albert won the Nobel Prize in 1922, he said, he sent the prize to money to Melissa and the sons. Perhaps that made him feel less guilty. T2N, she is arguing. Less guilty, I can hear them shouting for abandoning this family. Albert's oldest son, Hans Albert, grew up to become a distinguished science professor in California. Occasionally visited with his father. Aaron, born in 1910, the younger son, whom Albert nicknamed Teddo, which means little bear, was gifted in music and literature, but suffered from mental illness. After his mother's death, Edward lived in a hospital for the rest of his life. Albert was congratulated his son Hans Albert's birthday he never remembered, but interested himself when it came to family. Whoa, 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 whoa. They were so rocking up. Oh my Oh my God. Let's continue. It is a joy for me to have a son who has inherited the main traits of my personality, the ability to rise above mere existence by sacrificing oneself to the years for an impersonal goal. This is the best, indeed the only way in which we can make ourselves independent from personal fates and from other human beings. Albert's never questioned his decision to choose scientific discovery over family. Albert ended soon. In 1922, Albert won a Nobel Prize, the most important award a scientist can ever win, for thinking he did about the photoelectrical effects. Albert's thinking about the photoelectrical effects that led to the invention of TV. You can thank Albert for the book too. Yeah, it's really good. As for moving to Berlin, the Liver had good reason for not wanting to live in Germany. In the early 19th, countries of Europe were struggling with each other for power. Some countries had a lot of land but little money. Many people were not allowed to worship as they wished. Several countries had large populations but weak armies. They wanted what the others said, and they were willing to fight for it. The tension grew and grew. There was much hatred. Europe felt like it was going to burst. Germany was one of the scariest countries. The government wanted to build the most powerful army in Europe to get rid of all Germany's enemies. When Albert arrived in 1914, Berlin was full of German soldiers that were trained, armed and eager for war. This was a very uncomfortable place for the peace-loving Albert soon lived. But one person in Berlin, Albert's cousin Elsa, made life much more pleasant. Elsa was full of affection to Albert. They started to spend lots of time together. Elsa was soon in love with Albert the man, not the scientist. As far as Albert was concerned, he and Elsa were much happy matching Albert and challenging Mileva. Soon the couple announced that they were going to marry. Elsa took care of Albert, which was good, because Albert saw he did it. He was ever more careless about getting not to sleep, eating properly. Albert's doctor said, as his mind knows no limits of his body, follows no set of rules, sleeps until he's wakened, stays awake until he's told to go to bed. He will go hungry until he's given something to eat, and then he eats until he's starved. Elsa looked after him, making sure Albert got up on time, got rest, and ate his breakfast. Life with his second wife suited Albert very well. However, it is an interesting fact that Albert's very best scientific thinking was done during his marriage with Mileva. Perhaps that doesn't mean anything, or perhaps, as some critics say, his great theories might be their great theories, or even no great theories. Some publications, even Time magazine, which proclaimed Albert is the person of the century in its December 31, 1999 issue. What exactly was Mileva may have contributed to her husband's scientific ideas. On instant thoughts. Wait a minute, I need some power. Good. And some of you see the color, you might know because some of you have eaten before. Albert claims that space is curved. That's where a rail flight, instead of traveling forever in a straight line, must even return to where it started. Think about this. You're 4 years old and while you are out in the yard, you shine a flashlight in the sky. 10 years later, you are 14, moving the lawn, and blam! Someone smacks you in the eye. Surprise! In 1914, Europe finally burst. The weak political agreements that had kept countries at the war collapsed. Worldwide erupted, but Germany's great armies facing France, Russia, and England, quickly winning many battles. Wars were on hate, ran countries out of food and money, and caused the deaths of many. Albert hated the war, hated all wars. This war also brought a particular frustration to Albert. He had hoped to prove his theory of curving light through photos of the 1914 eclipser. Just as German scientists were setting up cameras in Russia, war broke down. War broke out. Germany and Russia were not enemies. The Russians arrested the German scientists and destroyed their equipment. The eclipser passed no photos. It will be another 5 years before others will have a chance to photograph another total eclipser. The combined forces of Russia, France, and England eventually slowed and started German victories. The war became a stalemate. Year after year, neither side could gain clear victory over the other. The surplus needed to fight the long war ran Germany of its money, food, and fuel. And meanwhile, thousands of German soldiers died each day. German leaders kept insisting that the war would end in their favor. The other countries were starting to say that, yes, indeed, Germany was doing a great job fighting the war. Albert refused to make such a statement. He said, never do anything against conscience. If the state demands it, and he means it, German government was furious with Albert. It wanted to put Albert and his ridiculous head into jail, but Albert was lucky. He was still a citizen of Switzerland. It was difficult for the Germans to imprison somebody from another country, especially a peaceful one like Switzerland. Germany finally lost the war in 1918. Albert had managed to stay out of jail. More than ever, Albert was committed to promoting peace. In the following year, 1919, there was going to be a full eclipser. The first one in 1914. Shut up! Sometime for Albert and his theory of bending light. Many scientists in Germany hoped that Albert would prove proven wrong. Then perhaps all his other theories would be knocked too. Before the eclipse, cameras were set up in 2 locations, one in South America and one on an island on the coast of West Africa. There were 2 cameras in case clouds they move and block the eclipse in one place. That way, there was still a chance to get photos at the other location. The cameras were pointed at the sun. Ordinarily, the intense sunlight made it impossible to see or photograph the movements of light as it passed the sun and planets. But then the moon moved in between the sun and earth. It blocked the sun's brightness and suddenly light not seen before could be photographed. The cameras clicked. You never know this. You know, put that roll it around because they not see. It's so yummy. So good. So hot. Once the photographs were developed, Albert was sure they would show that light bands had to pass the sun and other planets. On November 7, 1919, the news was announced. Albert was right. Light did bend. Although very few people understood what Albert Einstein was talking about, the whole world recognized that he was a genius. Suddenly Albert was a superstar. A tobacco company even introduced a new product, the Instant Cigar, and within a year it eclipsed over 100 blogs and articles about Albert was published. Now, 80 years later, the number of books and articles about Albert is in the thousands. All the fuss may sound wonderful, but to Albert, it means losing his treasured privacy. The attention Albert brought to a friend was so bad that I can hardly breathe, let alone get sent to any sensible work. He was the first genius superstar. Albert made the best of the uncomfortable situation. Because of his growing fame, he could have become rich by appearing on radio shows, making speeches, and writing books. A London theater offered Albert as much money as he wanted if Albert would appear on stage with pipe eaters and tightrope walkers. Albert's act would be explaining his theories, but Albert said no. Instead of making money, he wanted to use his influence to make the world a better place. For Albert, that means a world without war. Yeah. In 96. Finally. It's so long, man. So long. We nearly finished that book. But we need some power. Let's go to check out power. Did somebody recognize the noise? Chapter 6. War Again. Unless the cause of peace based on law guidance behind is the force and zeal of a religion, it is hardly can hope to succeed. Albert Einstein. Albert's friend brought him thousands of letters from people all over the world, not just scientists, little kids, newspaper reporters. And I talked with her 32 minutes. Mom, I talked to her 32 minutes. Okay. Many of the letters came from Jewish people raised in Germany. They were kept out of schools, did not jobs, and not allowed to vote. Albert was Jewish. Couldn't he do anything? For a long time, Albert wanted to help create a homeland for Jewish people. The current Jewish nation of Israel did not exist in the early 19th. There's probably so much long. Hair was Mad Lips. What? Yes, Daddy. Okay. Wait. Yes, Daddy. Let's continue. Harder. When Albert visited Washington, D.C., President Warren Harding invited them to the White House. Albert's eccentric, genius-looking was a big hit with Americans. With his wild hair, messy clothes, and friendly personality, Albert's jammed reporters. He was often asked, "Will you briefly explain your theory of relativity?" This question drove Albert nuts. After all, it had taken him 50 years of intense thinking to develop this theory. But he just take a deep breath, smile, and say, "When a man sits with a pretty girl for an hour, seems like a minute. But let him sit on a hot stove for a minute, and it's longer than any hour. There's relativity." Although Albert was a superstar in the United States, he was a wanted problem in Germany. Although he still at his teaching job in Berlin, it's become harder for Albert to stay in Germany with each passing year. After the Nazis took control of Germany in the 1930s, Albert's life was increasingly in danger. Nazis issues intellectuals and pacifists. Albert was all three. When Nazis inside the university libraries of their books and burned them, it was often Albert's books that topped the huge bonfires. By 1930, Albert had done most of his best scientific thinking. His focus now was on politics and public speaking. This made the Nazis even angrier. For safety, Elsa pleaded with Albert to stop speaking out against the Nazis. He refused. He said, "I wouldn't be easy if I kept quiet." He also refused to leave Germany. Even though more and more friends and family begged him to, these things did. However, many trips were more welcoming. Countries they traveled to the Middle East, to Asia, and to the west coast of the United States. Everywhere they went, they were greeted by large cheering crowds. Quebec even declared the day of Albert's arrival as a national holiday. Especially it was greeted by the king and thousands of fans. Albert received honorary degrees from Oxford, Cambridge, the Sorbonne, Harvard, and many other universities around the world. He was guest professor, responsible for Jewish courses, and one of the growing political hot threat in Germany. A threat for Albert to doors all over the world, except in the country where he had been born. The Nazis published a book called 100 Authors Against History. All Albert said was, "Why 100? If I were wrong once would have been enough." Hitler and the Nazis. Germany could not recover from the defeat in World War I. The treaty that ended the war left Germans hungry, poor, and feeling hopeless. The Nazis National Socialist Party blamed Germany's problems on people and Jewish religion. By the early 1930s, the Nazi Party had grown from a small band of people with extremely dangerous ideas to the most powerful political party in Germany. The Nazis were led by Adolf Hitler, who became Chancellor of Germany in 1933. Hitler's government denied Jews a normal life, so that they could not go to school, hold jobs, own property, or worship. Eventually, the Nazis began murdering the Jews. They wanted to wipe every Jew off the face of the earth. The Nazis killed 6 million Jews before World War II ended in 1944, and Germany was defeated. Albert was very lucky to have survived in Nazi Germany. In 1931, while Albert was a guest professor in California, Adolf Hitler declared Albert a spy. Hitler put out the death warrants for Albert. In 1933, while Albert and Asa was returning home from the trip to California, they spoke into the Eastern Summer House in Kabul, Germany. A brief note was found in the kitchen, probably the natural place where red Nazi used to be, but the Nazis used the knife as proof of what a dangerous man Albert was. Nazis seized everything Albert owned, his home and his money, and there was no question about moving. Albert and Asa rented a house in Belgium where Albert's stepdaughter starts to catch a life. But in Belgium, a new book from Germany was available. It included a photograph of Nazi enemies. Albert's photo was on the very first page with the words "not yet hanged" printed next to it. Belgium was not a safe place to stay either. But where would the Easterns go? England? No. Esther was placed to live there. In England, the Nazis had offered a huge reward for Albert's murder. Albert joked, "I never knew that I was worth so much." In the end, Albert and Esther decided that the United States would be their new home. Albert became professor of mathematics at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. Albert accepted for a salary of $3,000. Esther got supposed to 16,000. By the end of 1933, the NASA had settled in a small college town. The early years in Princeton was very difficult. Albert was 54 years old. He was not a young man. He was no longer starting to work with new ideas. Then, 3 years after they moved to Princeton, Elsa passed away. Albert was lonely and heartbroken. His own health suffered. He had barely left Elsa's side for the last 12 months of her life. Albert also kept hearing about friends who had been murdered in Germany. With all the energy that he had left, he determined to do whatever he could to stop the Nazis. He played violin at fundraising concerts, but that was not going to put an end to Hitler. Albert's famous equation E equals mc2, and that if just a few atoms were converted to energy, the amount of energy produced would be massive. In 1939, Albert learned that European scientists were as well trying to make an atomic bomb. Albert feared what the Germans would do if they were forced to shut the bomb. So Albert wrote a letter to the President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt. He asked that the United States began developing an atomic bomb right away. This could not be an easy letter for a man like Albert to write. He hated war. He hated weapons. That's why he was asking the United States to hurry up and build the most destructive bomb ever imagined. Even the simplest atomic bomb could destroy an entire city, kill thousands of people within seconds. But Albert thought that it would be worse than the Nazis, so he only wanted to shoot a weapon. Partly because I was there, President Roosevelt had secret work begun on building an atomic bomb. The atomic bomb. In World War II, Japan joined forces with Germany and Italy. So now there were two fronts, areas of battle Europe and the islands in Pacific Ocean. In late 1941, the United States joined the countries England, France, in the fight against Germany and Japan. American troops were sent to both battlefronts. At 8:15 a.m. on August 6, 1945, an American military plane released an atomic bomb over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. In an instant, 80,000 people were killed. Hiroshima simply ceased to exist. People at the blast center were vaporized. All that remained was the charred shadows on the walls of buildings. 3 days later, the U.S. dropped another bomb on another Japanese city, Nagasaki. Japan surrendered, and the World War II finally came to an end. The war now had weapons that were destructive beyond imagination. The case of scientific thought and research, including instance, made the atomic bomb a possibility. War made this a reality. The world was never the same again. Boom! Albert later reflected on this moment in world history. I made one great mistake in my life when I sent a letter to President Roosevelt recommending that atom bombs be made, but there was some justification. Dangerous that the Germans would make them. After World War II, Albert spent time and energy trying to limit the development of atomic weapons. I do not know how the Third War would be fought in war, but I do know how the Fourth War sticks and stones. What immense was that after the Third War, atomic bombs, the modern world could be destroyed. The Eves would have to go back to living in a caveman. The scientists always said, must consider it our solemn duty to do all in our power, preventing these weapons from being used. Even today, some people blame Mr. for the atom bomb because he discovered a relationship between mass and energy. But can anybody blame Isaac Newton, who was supposed to explain the laws of gravity for every plane that crashes to the ground? In 1940, at age 61, Albert became a citizen of the United States. For the rest of his life, he remained in Princeton, New Jersey, and worked on something called the Unified Field theory, but surprisingly, Albert never produced a finished theory. In many ways, Albert's life has come full circle. Power talk! Let's read power talk. Okay, let's continue. In many ways, Albert's life had come full circle. Toward the end of his life, he was generally regarded as a sort of petrified object, rendered deaf and blind by the years. He loved to take walks just as he always said, and although Albert never drove a car, he loved to sail. He would take as one ancient boat and miss as another boat, and the last one swerve aside. In Princeton, he was a familiar sight, walking back and forth between his home and office, often chatting with his neighbors. He spoke English with an accent. I think I will later study. This is a very good theory. His saggy face, now white, grew even wilder, and he often went without socks, belt, or suspenders. Once some boys asked Albert why he never wore socks. With a sly smile, he answered that he was old enough that if he didn't want to, he didn't have to. On his walks, Albert was known to stop and help a child fix a bicycle, and when younger came to his class asking for help with her math homework, Albert not only did just that, but shared his lunch of a can of baked beans with her. As for his own children, Albert rarely saw his sons, as Albert has read nicely. Children and later moved to California, and Dora and Melissa remained safe in Switzerland when Melissa died in 1948. Albert's sister and best friend Major came to live with him in Princeton. As a child, Albert had a horrible temper that once led him to hit Major in the head. In these later years, he decided to the sister of a tinker. He must have a very thick skirt. Life in Princeton was pleasant. In the evening, just as Albert and his mother used to play duets, he played violin with another musicians. He ended spending the last 20 years of his life at house at what is it for? Thank you, man. House at 112 Mercer Street in Princeton. He loved the old house, its gardens, and the way lights came through the windows. When they first moved to Mercer Street, House had a picture window put in Albert's study. From there, Albert could enjoy the beauty and mystery of nature, as he always said, watching birds fly, flowers bloom, and the morning sunrise. Chapter 7. Albert's time is up. 200 and continue. Chapter 7. Albert's time is up. Everything is determined, the beginning as well as by the end, by forces over which we have no control. It is determined for the insect as well as for the star. Human beings, vegetables, cosmic dust, we all dance to a mysterious tune. Internet with a distance but an invisible player. Albert Einstein. By 1948, Albert was in a very poor health. His heart was getting weaker and weaker. A doctor asked insisted that Albert take a certain medicine. Albert hesitated. The doctor insisted. So Albert took the medicine and immediately got sick to his stomach. There is not, and the doctor, do you feel better now? Yes, there was a reason for happiness during those years. In 1948, in the Jewish nation of Israel was created. Albert was overjoyed. All his work had helped to bring about something wonderful. After Israel's first president died, Albert was asked to become the next president. Albert said no. Politics is for a moment, he whispered, while an equation is for eternity. So he was greatly honored by the offer. In 1950, Albert made this will. He wanted all his science papers led to the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. In 1951, Moshe died. Now Albert had neither his wife or no sisters. He was more alone than ever. He surrounded himself with family photographs. He said, a photograph never grows old. You and I change. People change all through the months and years, but the photograph always remains the same. How nice to look at a photograph of mother or father taken many years ago. You can see them as you remember them. That is why I think a photograph can be kind. Several years later, after a brief illness, Albert was admitted to the Princeton Hospital. On April 17, 1955, he asked that his eyeglasses, some paper, and the pen he brought to the hospital bed. He had more thinking to do. Next day, he died with a sheet of equations next to him. To the very end, Albert was thinking. Last letter he wrote was one that urged all nations to give up nuclear weapons. The instant as 112 Mercer Street in Princeton, New Jersey, treated no difference to any other home in the neighborhood. That's where I always wanted it. He worried that it was turned into a museum. People who concern themselves too much with his memory and not enough with their own future. After Albert's death, the scientific community mourned the loss of a great and original mind. Jews mourned the loss of a leader who always was for a better and more peaceful world, even in the darkest moments of Jewish history. And all people mourn the loss of a unique, peace-loving man. Perhaps Albert said it's best. Only a wife live for others is a life worthwhile. Albert was not the best husband, he was not the best father, but as a friend said of Albert, he was the first man I've known. So, we have chapter 8, a final thought. And that's all over. Albert left these instructions upon his death. Donates my brain to science, creates my body, cremates my body, and throw the ashes in a secret place. It was done. So where's Albert's brain now? After Albert died, an autopsy was done on his body. The doctor Thomas Harvey removed Albert's brain. Decided that there was nothing all that special about it. Set it aside in a bottle of formaldehyde. Later, when Dr. Harvey moved to Wichita, Kansas, he took the brain with him. He cast the brain, which was in pieces, and threw jars inside a cardboard box that was later. Since then, further studies by several medical researchers have found Albert's brain to a bit of more interesting than Dr. Harvey did. Dr. Harvey provided the researchers with the pieces of the brain. Albert's brain weighed less than average brain, was 50% wider, and had an unusual set of groups. Thus, the importance of the differences remains unknown. Harvey kept the brain with them for over 40 years. One time, Harvey and Michael Parsonity, an author, put the brain in the trunk of a car and drove it all the way to California so that a piece of it would be given to Albert's granddaughter, Evelyn. Soon after that trip, Harvey turned the brain over to a Princeton hospital where it continued to float around in the jar. You had to wonder what Albert would think of that. Albert is born in 1879 and died in 1955. So thanks for reading a book with me, and I'll see you later. So goodbye, I'll see you later and have a nice day. See, reading books is quite fun. Whew, and it's hard too, so thank you and see you later for the next video. Bye!